Welcome to episode 5 of Friends and Film, a podcast hosted by myself, Cooper Hood, at Coop Soups on Twitter. And as always, I'm joined by my co-host, Josh Straley, at Straley Strong on Twitter. Friends and Films is a podcast where we talk about the latest movie news and theatrical releases. You can follow the podcast on Twitter at Friends and Film. You can subscribe to us on SoundCloud and iTunes at Friends and Film using the and sign, and on YouTube as well using Friends and Film.
Hey, welcome back to the podcast, everybody. It's me, Josh.
Yeah, we've got a busy podcast, full podcast. We're stuffed with news. That's what happens when you're gone for a week. We apologize once again, but we had some damage done to our normal recording studio. But there were a couple new releases out that both of us, I think, wanted to see a little bit, but nothing really that we were rushing out to see. So once again, we will not be doing a review of a movie as we did in our first 3 episodes, but we will instead be talking a lot about news, a lot of Star Wars stuff, a lot of comic book movie related stuff, some trailer announcements, and then after that we're going to talk about our top 10 favorite movies of 2015, as well as some honorable mentions and maybe some movies we regret seeing in theaters.
Yeah, so this is going to be a good show, but I know we got a lot to do, so go ahead and let's get us started, Cooper.
Yeah, so one of the first things that happened after we finished recording our last podcast was there was a lot of shuffling release dates. So just quickly run through about 5 of them. Star Wars 8 got pushed back from May 26, 2017 to December 15th. Sony and Marvel's conjoined Spider-Man reboot is moved up 3 weeks to July 7th of 2017. The Mummy, which officially has Tom Cruise attached to it now, got pushed back from March 24th of next year to June 9th, so maybe some more confidence in that property since they're putting in the summer season. And then Pirates of the Caribbean 5 got moved to the old Star Wars date, so more in the summer season, but it's gonna be crowded May that year. And then finally, after Star Wars 8 was announced to move to December, The Wrap reported that Avatar 2 is most likely moving off of the December 25th release date of that year, but there's no current release date confirmed, and Fox didn't make that official or not. So what are these changes, like what stands out to you the most?
Well, obviously, I think everyone knows that Star Wars is my favorite franchise of all time, so obviously when you shove back Episode 8 off that May release date, to sort of that I felt was going to kind of give reverence to the original trilogies having those May release dates. I was really disappointed to see that, but they did the same thing with Star Wars Episode 7, and ultimately I think it'll probably make for a better film. But the funniest part of all of that was that when Star Wars announces their new release date, Avatar, not 5-6 days later, releases a statement that their entire film has been delayed. So I find that absolutely hilarious, and I know James Cameron's a perfectionist, so it's not unlike him to move the release dates back, but I just thought it was funny that then right after that he suspends his movie's release date a little bit.
Yeah, it's not totally surprising, even though, I mean, Avatar is the #1 grossing movie of all time currently, but I don't think there's the same amount of fire for a second one that there is for Star Wars Episode 8. So putting those two so close together, it'd be an interesting race to watch, and box office wise, especially since 7's not going to catch Avatar.
Totally.
There's basically no shot
Yeah.
for that to happen now. But yeah, it is disappointing because you think after watching Episode 7, like, I only have 18 months till I get to see what happens next. But only a year till you get to see something else in Star Wars universe, and now it's 2 years you gotta wait. So that's disappointing, but between script rewrites and just other production stuff they're doing, it gives me more confidence that they're beefing up Rey and Finn and Kylo and Poe's story arcs reportedly for the movie, which is great because I loved all of them. I'm wearing a Rey shirt as we record this podcast, if that tells you guys anything about what I thought. If you don't know what we thought, we recorded a podcast about it. Be sure to listen to that for our full thoughts on the movie. I'm also excited that Spider-Man got moved up 3 weeks. It's not major, but just it hasn't even started filming yet, and the fact that they're moving it up makes me feel confident that the Sony and Marvel shared project is actually going to work out very well.
Yeah, because I guess that was always the worry. That how is the shared rights going to work out? I mean, in the long run, production wise, revenue. I'm sure they've got that sorted, but just what was the synergy going to be like between them? And obviously, well, if they're ready to release it 3 weeks earlier.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I'm very curious to see how they market Spider-Man using Civil War later this year, because he hasn't been shown anything, and the directors made some comments that they haven't necessarily agreed upon how each studio can use Spider-Man, or like how Marvel can use Spider-Man in their marketing, and how Sony could use other Marvel characters if they were in the Spider-Man movies. So they're still trying to figure that stuff out, even though it's almost been a year since the original deal was agreed upon. Do you have any thoughts about The Mummy or Pirates 5?
The Mummy has always been one of those obscure movies for me. I've seen it, but never had any great interest into it. But maybe Tom Cruise, an actor I like, can bring a fresh new look to it. Pirates of the Caribbean, yeah, I mean those four movies were some of the first action films that I ever was exposed to, adventure films. So I am excited to see Jack Sparrow's character back on screen, and until we learn more about it, I can't really get too much into it. How about you?
Yeah, I'm not a crazy Pirates fan. I've seen the first one, but I don't remember anything really about it.
Oh,
So they're on my list to watch, and I'll watch them before next year. Thankfully, I have enough time.
yeah, there's some pop culture references that you'll need to get to.
Yeah, and like The Mummy, yeah, I mean it's Tom Cruise, and Tom Cruise always. He may not be the best actor, but he is always somebody that makes enjoyable movies to watch.
Mm-hmm.
So I haven't there's old mummy movies I haven't seen, and then this one's supposed to have a female mummy be the main villain, so that's a new twist on the franchise. And then this is supposed to spawn a whole new monster universe. So that movie has a lot hinging on it. So pushing it back to the summer, where a lot more people would probably see it.
Yeah,
Gives me a little faith in it, and Tom Cruise being officially attached is a nice bonus as well. We talked about Episode 8, their new change. Disney chairman, who they now own Lucasfilm and the Star Wars properties, Bob Iger told BBC this week that Star Wars and Marvel will, quote, go on forever. So Marvel currently has dates announced till 2020, I believe. And then Star Wars has 4 movies in current active development, 2, 8, and 9, and then 2 anthology movies after Rogue One. So, obviously this is exciting news, right?
It is exciting news because Star Wars will never be dead, and it's something that I want. If I ever have kids, I want them to be able to have, and I want to be able to go see movies about Star Wars for as long as I can. And Marvel as well. I enjoy those too. But even, what are we now? 6-7 years into the Marvel film
We're
cycle.
8 years. 8 years.
8 years.
This
yeah.
year.
I'm feeling a little bit of the wear and tear.
Okay.
So, I'm really hoping that these oncoming Marvel movies can ignite my enthusiasm again. In which, from the looks of it, Civil War and Spider-Man, my favorite Marvel superhero, could do that, definitely. So I'm a wait and see on Marvel. Star Wars, absolutely. I don't ever foresee myself getting tired of it. So I mean, it's great, but they've got to keep the movies great too.
Yeah, and I think that's where I'm a huge Marvel fan.
Yeah,
and especially their movies, and watching. Especially what they did in Phase 2. Like, one of my biggest pet peeves, I guess, when people talk about the Marvel movies or superhero movies in general, is that people say all superhero movies are the same, because they're not. Like, if you look at Phase 2 of Marvel, like, each movie it is a superhero movie, but it's set in a different genre, basically. Mm-hmm. So if Phase 3 and beyond can continue to remake the movie and keep it interesting and make different characters stand out and introduce new ones, Phase 3 is introducing a lot of new characters, which should benefit, Phase 4 and beyond. Obviously, after seeing Star Wars 7, my excitement's at an all-time high for the franchise. So I'm in no way looking forward to that franchise potentially ending anytime soon.
Definitely.
The next Star Wars movie up is Rogue One, A Star Wars Story, which I don't know if I like that subtitle yet or not. I kind of like the anthology better, but the branding is obviously a big reason why they're doing that, I think.
Yeah, it's easier for people to get behind a Star Wars story other than anthology, because when I heard anthology, I had to go right to the dictionary to figure out what that meant.
Yeah, but Joe Blow revealed some new details on the movie. So these could be considered slight spoilers, what we're going to talk about. I don't really consider them anything major, but there's a new droid that's supposedly a scene stealer that could be played by Alan Tudyk. There's a new TIE fighter design. More AT-ATs are going to be in this movie, and Darth Vader's getting a beefed up role, which sounds great. And then Making Star Wars also gave some new details on Forrest Whitaker's character, saying that he is a war veteran, possibly fought in the Clone Wars with the clones. He has one leg, and he may be affiliated with bounty hunters. So this all sounds great to me. Another scene stealer droid kind of reminds me of BB-8 because he was so good in Episode 7. What are your thoughts on all this new Rogue One info?
Yeah, the droids of Star Wars are always like one of the coolest parts about it, is because they kind of represent, like, there are persons too that, have a different way of interacting, and that can always create some tension between characters or some, joyful moments, like with BB-8 and Finn when they agree to help each other out, and then BB-8 pops out the lighter to give up the like symbol, and like moments like that. So if there's like a scene-stealing droid like that to add some humor or heart or whatever the case may be, definitely for it. And then Darth Vader, the greatest villain of all time, is going to be back, and we're going to see him in his heyday.
Yes.
That's what I'm excited for.
Yeah, I mean, we talked before the show started about kind of how in the original trilogy, Darth Vader's great, but like it's his presence that's most intimidating, just the mystery behind him, and kind of where he's playing with Luke a lot of the time, where he just kind of swiping, and like he knows that Luke couldn't really pose him a threat at that moment in like 4 and 5, but getting to see Vader before 4 and in all of his power, like if you watch Star Wars Rebels right now, like he is insanely powerful, and he shows that off. And I want to see if there was some concept art described by Making Star Wars, I'm pretty sure, where Vader's force holding up another rebel to use as a human body shield against other rebel fire, and then he's beheading other rebels. Like that battle sounds epic, and it'd be the coolest thing Vader's ever done, probably. Right?
Totally. It adds to that brutality, and that menacing, looming figure over the series. Like this coming out now in between 7 and 8 will just kind of solidify in people's minds that Vader wasn't always the sentimental guide to his kid, to everyone else. He had a reputation as being totally evil and scary, and that's why everyone was afraid of him.
Yeah.
So to see him in full form doing whatever it is to those rebels is going to just blow me away, I'm sure, as long as it is what we're thinking it's going to be.
Yeah. Plus it adds a lot of backstory to him in the original trilogy, like his motivations for like what he's doing, like kidnapping Leia and stuff. Like if those plans were originally meant for him and they were stolen from him or something, like that would be like a great underlying like story arc basically for the character throughout the original trilogy, thinking, oh, well, he's doing all this because he failed previously. Like that like Darth Vader doesn't really fail a lot of the time, so seeing that aspect would be really cool. Moving on to another Disney property, and under their Disney umbrella is the Marvel Universe. Talked about it briefly before. Now it's going to go on forever. One of those movies in 2017 is Thor Ragnarok, the third Thor movie, which the Thor movies are always fun, but they're not great. They're never movies that I'm Like if I wanted to watch if I want to watch a Marvel movie, the Thor movies probably wouldn't be my first choice. So, but there's been a lot of new info released by Geek.com, and so these are once again possible spoilers for the movie. But Odin will reportedly be banished to Earth and be like an apocalypse naysayer, like holding up street signs saying like apocalypse is coming, like beware Earthlings. And then Thor's gonna get banished from Asgard by Kate Blanchett, who's reportedly playing Hela, who's like the reign over the planet Hell in the Marvel and like Greek mythology and stuff. And when Thor gets banished, his hammer's broken. He gets his head shaved, and then he winds up on another planet as a prisoner, where he fights in like a gladiator style contest. And after defeating countless other alien types, they turn to their reigning champ, and it's none other than dun 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 the Hulk. And you get to see the Hulk and Thor go at it, and eventually they'll team up and try to save Asgard and stuff. But like, I'm so excited for this movie.
Like you said, Thor is probably the last of the Marvel titles that you would go to when you pick up or when you decide that you're going to watch one. And I couldn't even pronounce Ragnarok or whatever. Ragnarok.
Yeah.
I'm so glad you said that. And when they announced what the title was going to be, and it was like, meh, whatever. Until I read this plot synopsis of Thor and the Hulk going at it again. A rematch of the first Avengers movie. And never been more excited. Kate Blanchett, one of my favorite actresses, is going to be in the movie, and she brings a presence with her role, regardless of who she's playing. Galadriel from Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
If you guys don't know who Kate Blanchett is, so yeah, I think you expressed it really well. This could be maybe my favorite. Oh no, there's Civil War, but this will be my favorite Thor movie. I'll say that.
Yeah, if it's not my favorite Thor movie, I'll be supremely disappointed. And like they have a comedy director coming in, a really unknown guy, Taiki Waititi. So that should be interesting because Marvel's had really good success recently by hiring unknown directors and kind of turning them into stars, like the Russo brothers and stuff. But yeah, I'm very much looking forward to this movie and like the cosmic. They've called it like a cosmic buddy road trip, and like that sounds awesome. And like seeing, just everything about it sounds perfect right now. And if they bring in some other characters from like the lore and the comics and stuff, it could be epic. Because like in the comics and stuff, the Ragnarok storyline ends with Asgard being destroyed by this fire demon god named Surtur, which I don't think is going to play a factor in the movie, unfortunately, which it would have been awesome. But if Hela and Loki can do the same thing, and then Thor ends up without a home, without a planet, and he's got to go back to Earth, maybe without his hammer. Like that's what's great. Like the Hulk and Thor fight would be great by itself, but the fact that Thor's not gonna have his hammer when it happens, like I don't know how he's gonna stand a chance. I mean, he still has his brute strength, but Hulk hasn't changed. Like last time we saw him, he was in an Age of Ultron being sent away. We don't know what happened to him. So how he ends up on this planet, he hasn't changed back to Bruce Banner in like 3 years. So that's a lot of time just to be an angry, menacing beast. So I cannot wait for that to happen.
Totally. I think, like you said, a buddy movie, like comparable to maybe like Due Date. Like we're trying to get somewhere, or I think Midnight Run too. Have you seen that?
Midnight Run?
Yeah, with Robert De Niro.
I've not, but Mark Ruffalo actually compared it to that movie
really?
specifically. Yeah.
Okay. Yes, because that's a classic.
Comparison.
That's a classic. You need to see that though.
I will add it to my list.
It's funny.
Moving on from Marvel, we'll still stick with Marvel, but not Marvel Studios Marvel movies. We're going to talk about Fox. Because they've got rights split up and everything. It's real complicated. Can't explain right now because we have so much stuff to get to. But Deadpool was banned in China because of how, like, just the adult content that it has. So it's not even going to show in China, which could take a big lump out of the box office, possibly. And then T.J. Miller, one of the co-stars in the movie, recently said that the DVD for Deadpool will have a, quote, heavy-duty director's cut attached to it. So we haven't seen the movie. We'll see it in 2 weeks, and we'll review it, definitely. But the movie already looks off the walls crazy. So director's cut, I cannot imagine what that's going to be like.
It's going to be the party that never stops. That's what it's going to be. This whole, like, Ryan Reynolds recently said that the movie took like 12 years to get from script to production finally. And you can tell that it's been a labor of love from these guys from the beginning. And it bleeds into the marketing or bleeds out from the marketing and the trailers and all of that. So whatever we see in the theaters and whatever's on that director's cut has got to be incredible. Like that's the only thing I can think about, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's insane to me that there's going to be stuff that, because I mean, Fox has been so willing to just let them do whatever they want. It seems like with this property and make it right, that there's stuff that was so bad it couldn't make the theaters that they're going to put out on home video. Like that's gonna. That's good. That's crazy.
Yeah, it may not just be content. It could just be that the bloody movie would turn out to be 4 hours long. And, like
that could be great. I mean, it really depends on. I mean, we can't obviously say too much about it until we see the movie, because we could come out of the movie hating it, and then we don't want to see a director's cut at all. But that seems pretty unlikely at this point, personally.
It's as unlikely as snow in Florida.
But anything is possible, Josh.
Really?
And anything is possible with the X-Men franchise, apparently.
Oh.
Which I don't understand. Because if you watch Days of Futures Past, it ends with the timeline basically being reset and everybody's happy, and Storm and Jean Grey and Cyclops, they're all back from the dead and they're alive. But according to Simon Kingberg, he talked to Screen Rant and said anything is possible moving forward, and that all those people could die if he wanted to make it happen. So apparently that scene doesn't matter. It's just a happy ending for a pretty dark movie. That's the biggest criticism I've had with the X-Men franchise is their continuity problems. That's why they rebooted the franchise with Days of Futures Past. So if you take the very only thing we know about the current state of the X-Men universe present day until Deadpool comes out, and you say that doesn't matter, then what the heck? Why did you even include it in there?
I can't speak for what happened in Days of Future Past because I didn't see it.
Wow.
So I'm glad that you mentioned that everything gets reset. But those first X-Men trilogy, they slay some main characters.
Yeah, and that's not canon anymore.
Yeah. So and then they reset it, and that's fine. I get that. With Days of Future Past, it was like a clever way to move everything back.
Yep.
But then if you say, well, it may or may not happen again, just like that, and you're going to be inserting titles left and right that are going to beam off other branches, and it's not really technically one cohesive storyline like what we're seeing from Marvel and Star Wars now. It dissuades me a little bit from even caring.
Yeah, because the whole point of a cinematic universe, like even Transformers is trying to make a cinematic universe now. The point of it is so you have characters you see in one movie pop up in another movie, and what happens in those other movies stays, like that actually happens for those characters no matter what universe or what movie they pop up in. It'd be like in Iron Man 4 if that ever happens, and Robert Downey Jr. gets his left arm cut off, but then he pops up in Thor 4 for some reason he has both arms, and there's no explanation. It just doesn't make any sense. And the X-Men franchise had such a trouble doing and sticking with continuity that it doesn't seem like it'd be that hard. Like when Xavier loses like his legs and stuff, like they've changed that so many times. It's really confusing, and them saying anything's possible, we can kill off anybody, nobody's safe. I'm like, what is happening?
Yeah, I asked you about this because in the Days of Future Past trailers and lead up, Xavier's running around with his legs, young Xavier, and like I've seen first class, he's paralyzed, and then suddenly then they had to do this ridiculous workaround so that he could walk again.
Yeah, They made it so he invented a serum that made him lose his powers, or like lose the voices in his head, but gave him enough mental powers to be able to move his legs. It was just so dumb. And then like in X-Men Origins, which was like the worst X-Men movie ever, he is very old, and he's like projecting himself standing outside of one of the X-Men, the ships. I can't remember what they're called right now.
Quinjet.
No, it's not a Quinjet.
Oh, dang it.
That's what I was about to say, but I was like, no, Quinjets are only MCU stuff. So I don't know. They have a very specific name. I don't know what they are. But yeah, I don't know. And continuity is so important with cinematic universes, with, especially because they're doing like 90s and 80s movies plus current movies set in like the current age.
Yep.
And then Wolverine 3, which is coming up, Hugh Jackman just told Collider that a script is nearly finished and that production will start shortly. And they're supposed to take a spin on the Old Man Logan comics where he's like really old. And like Xavier's supposed to be in it. It's like them two like teaming up basically. But I don't know, because like if that movie could not even matter really, depending on like other stuff. Like it's such a complicated cinematic universe. It's so like I've tried to learn everything I can about the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and like no, okay, this happens here, these people are here, like all this stuff. X-Men is so complicated, I cannot keep track of it all.
Yeah, and well, like as you say that, it almost makes me think this Wolverine movie is just not going to matter going forward. Like
it's possible.
It's same with the last Wolverine movie.
Yeah,
it's just so much. It's there in space.
I don't remember anything about that movie.
Exactly, until the end where they plug for Days of Future Past, and that's it. And there's no other tie other than we want to throw Wolverine in Japan and have him slice through samurais.
Yeah, it's so dumb.
Well, it seems like there's no hope for the X-Men franchise. Yeah. Something that there is hope for.
There's only hope.
There's only hope for is the DC universe.
I mean, yeah. Right now, I mean, they've only had Man of Steel, so it's hard to be. I mean, that movie wasn't great, but it's hard not to be hopeful for their universe just because we've seen so little. Mm-hmm. But last week, they had a special on CW called Dawn of the Justice League, which is, I'm pretty sure that's what it's called, and it's very similar to the BVS title, oddly enough, where they showed off concept art and cast interviews for Aquaman, Cyborg, Flash, Justice League, Wonder Woman. They showed footage for that, a new Suicide Squad trailer. They showed everything basically in that 30-minute special. I mean, concept art's cool. I thought Cyborg looked really interesting, the way they were talking about him being like a living computer, like always taking in knowledge. He doesn't sleep. I thought that was really interesting. But all the rest of them I didn't really care about.
Yeah.
They didn't really show a lot from Justice League. They just showed like this concept art of all, what is it, 5, 6 of them? All of them except for Green Lantern. They're all standing together.
Yeah, we're not too upset about no Green Lantern.
Well, he's coming though.
Sure.
Multiple Green Lanterns are coming.
Ooh, the Green Lantern Corps.
Corps, yeah.
Ooh.
So when that happens, they haven't even, well, I don't know. They may have cast the guy according to that Reddit rumor a couple of weeks ago. But there's not a lot we can say. It's cool that they have the concept art and they like all the cast sounded good and enthusiastic about their roles. But we did see footage from Wonder Woman. Did that make you excited?
It did. It reinvigorated, or it lit the fire, I would say, because they hadn't really talked about it other than they confirmed, I think, a while back about how she was going to have a World War II era style film to introduce her, well, not introduce her, but to set background for her and such. And Warner Brothers released some, I don't know how you describe it, test footage or some, or like a teaser for Wonder Woman, and it all looked great to me, and it felt a little bit like Captain America, the first Avenger.
Captain America.
But that's okay because I loved Captain America, the first Avenger, and if that steals some of its thunder, of the era, that's fine. I mean, how about you?
I mean, yeah, it definitely. I mean, it looked cool, and Patty Jenkins as the director, very interesting choice. But something about Gal Gadot, I'm not sold yet on her as Wonder Woman. And it might have something to do with because no matter how much TV spots or trailers there are for BVS or the footage they showed for Wonder Woman, we haven't heard her actually speak yet as Wonder Woman, and that's kind of worrisome for me. And I've never been blown away of her as an actress. I mean, obviously she's beautiful, so like that's obviously a plus for her. But you need more than just beauty to carry a movie.
Yeah, she's from the Fast and Furious movies, and her role is never
It's so
anything
small.
so action packed. But I never was thrown off by her acting.
Yeah,
I was never like, oh, you're not making this believable for me. So this will be, I mean, this is going to be her coming out party. And we'll have to wait. At least I need to wait and see her Injustice, or I'm sorry, BVS,
yeah,
Batman versus Superman, before, I start to get worried at all. So I want to take a reserved approach to it with open mind.
Definitely.
But they picked her for a reason. I mean, they wouldn't have gone with her. I mean, I'm sure they had a slew of people lined up for it. So if she won over Zack Snyder, executive producer Christopher Nolan on those movies, I'm sure she's got a talent for it.
yeah. It's just kind of like, I don't know, that criticism of Gal Gadot maybe isn't fair on my part till we see BVS. But I mean, they've kind of taken a similar approach with Jason Momoa as Aquaman. Like I know he's in Game of Thrones. I haven't seen Game of Thrones, but he apparently doesn't talk very much in that either. And then Ray Fisher is Cyborg, and I haven't seen him in anything as far as I can remember. Ezra Miller I've seen and stuff, and I'm a big fan of his. Him in Perks of Being a Wallflower is really good. So yeah, it's definitely a wait and see approach. I mean, the footage made me interested in the movie.
Yeah.
Depending on how she is in BVS will depend on how excited I am for the solo movie.
Definitely. I agree totally.
We did get some more footage for Suicide Squad in the second trailer, and that footage made me immensely excited for this upcoming movie.
Absolutely. It is set to Bohemian Rhapsody.
Yes.
And no song choice could have been better for the gang in Suicide Squad. The squad in Suicide Squad, sorry. It was... Just go.
Just go.
What did you think of it?
The first time I saw it, I was like, okay, this was good. Nothing great. And I kept watching it, and it grows on me every time I watch it. And then, because you pick up on, like, normally I'm not that big of a fan on cutting trailers with musical cues. It has to be done really well. Like, the Batman v Superman trailer tried to do that. And there's a shot of Superman walking up toward the camera, and there's like a dun dun dun. And it cuts, and it's just him getting closer, closer, closer. And I hated that. But this trailer, they do the same types of things. But, like, there's one part where they just show bullets or casings falling to the ground, and as it hits, it matches the beat of Bohemian Rhapsody, and it is so good. I just, like, that was something I caught probably the fifth time I watched the trailer.
Yeah.
And it blew me away. And, like, I saw that there was a description that came out for the trailer like a week or two before the trailer actually came out, and it said that it was set to Bohemian Rhapsody, and I was like, man, that is such a weird choice. Like, I love the song, but I can't really picture it.
Yeah.
With, like, this group of people. And I mean, it was great. Like, Margot Robbie was super funny in it. Like, when she was talking about, like, the voices in her head, that's not what they actually told her to do. Like, that was funny. Jai Courtney was actually like he had comedic moments in the trailer. And then Jared Leto I thought looked great as the Joker. But the one reservation I have about it is I got the impression from, like, the first trailer and stuff that this is going to be a very dark and grounded movie. And then the second trailer is like a complete 180, and it was like funny, Guardians of the Galaxy, jokes, music. I was like, what is happening with this movie? Like, it was very weird. It's like the DC so far, like, they've had, like, the first BVS trailer was really good, but then the second one was, like, really, like, a lot of people hated it.
Sure.
For Suicide Squad trailer, a lot of people liked. Second one, a lot of people liked as well, but it was like two totally different movies, kind of.
Yeah, I like that you made the Guardians of the Galaxy connection right there, because that's exactly what I felt. It felt like they were a band of people like having fun, only from the opposite end of the spectrum. They're not doing this to be good; they're just doing it so they don't die.
Yeah,
and
it's like in Guardians, it's like, what are we gonna do next? A little good, a little bad, a little bit of both.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's like that's kind of got the same kind of thing.
And Jared Leto as the Joker looks fantastic. You see him a little bit more dressed up and a little more of the classic Joker and a few of those scenes. And I had Jack Nicholson flashbacks, as well as he was performing. I think the scene where he's lying on the ground with bullet holes all around him, and he's just laughing.
I think it's knives. That's what I thought it was.
Okay, yeah, and he's just laughing like crazy.
Yeah.
I was
the good thing for me, because like I wasn't thinking about Heath Ledger or Nicholson or anything. I was just thinking like, this is Leto, this is the Joker, and I like it, and that's great, because the first image came out, I was like, well, he has all those weird tattoos and his teeth, and he looks weird. But after seeing this trailer, like the end of the first trailer, he's like, I'm not gonna kill you, I'm just gonna hurt you really, really bad.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, that was creepy. And then you see him laughing and spraying bullets and suits and everything, and it just looks good. It looks good.
Yeah. I think my reservations about Leto are on the side of the road now, unless his acting in it just totally blows, which doesn't look like it is going to.
Yeah. The only other thing is, like, it looks like there's a lot of like origin story stuff told for Margot Robbie's Harley Quinn and Jared Leto's Joker. So I hope that it's a really good balance on how they move back in time to explain her origin and their relationship and their history and stuff, because I think that's how Batman factors into the story. Because I don't want there to be like, it should be like jumping back every like 15 minutes.
Definitely.
Like, it needs to be like one long sequence, or depending on how the story's told, like 2 separate or maybe 3 separate sequences where they explain how they met, how she turned, and then what happened later. Like, that's how I would do it.
I would like to see something along those lines too. Yeah, I don't want it to be broken up too far, and I don't want it to distract from the task at hand for those guys. So, yeah, Suicide Squad only gets better as we get closer to that date,
which is great. August, can't cut here soon enough.
No.
Another movie came out last year, and you might see it on our lists. Who knows? Kingsman, Secret Service, was a surprise hit for me personally. I was not expecting. I'd heard really good things about it, and then going and seeing it, I was blown away. Such a good time. Taron Egerton was a breakout performer in the role as Eggsy, and a sequel is now being fast-tracked. It's going to start production shortly, I believe, or later this year, some point, with a 2017 release date somewhere.
Summer filming is what it sounds like, foregoing any production delays.
Yeah. And he recently talked to Empire while at the Sundance Film Festival, promoting his movie Eddie the Eagle, which I am very much excited for. But he talked about the Kingsman sequel, saying it's going to be more of an international story, and that there is a villain to rival Samuel L. Jackson's performance in the first one. Matthew Vaughn is rumored to return to direct. This all sounds like another great hit for the Kingsman franchise, I guess you can call it.
Definitely. And I want to know what this new villain is going to be, because Samuel L. Jackson from the first is incredible. So what would, in your mind, what would they have to do to take that to the next level? Because I thought Samuel L. Jackson was the level that you have to shoot for from now till forever.
Yeah, it's a very hard thing to try to figure out where they could go with it. And I mean, like you said, like his performance is so good. Like him in Kingsman and then him in Hateful Eight, he gave 2 of like the most interesting performances of last year, and he's not gonna get any love for it. But I loved both his performances. Like, I don't have anybody in mind that like, oh, they should bring, because like until we know some of like the story and like what kind of parts are available, it's hard to really like fan cast people into the movie.
Yeah.
But I mean, it'd always be fun to see like Harrison Ford jump in the franchise. Like, that would be super weird and fun. But yeah, that was just gonna be like off the top of my head, like a big name guy to kind of replace Samuel L. Jackson as the villain. I'd be interested in that.
Yeah, the writing crew there did a phenomenal job with Jackson's character. I'm sure they'll do it again and make us all super stoked for that next one.
Yeah. We're going to end our news segment by talking about a couple of trailers that one is hit and one will hit. First one that hit last week was Neighbors 2, Sorority Rising. The trailer for that came out. Looks like the plot is Mac and Kelly Radner, played by Seth Rogen and Rose Byrne, try to sell their house because Rose Byrne's character is pregnant, but they are having a tough time because after getting rid of Zac Efron and what's his name? I'm totally blanking. Dave Franco, yes, thank you, Josh.
Yeah.
After their sorority apparently leaves their neighborhood, a female girl sorority moves in next door, led by Chloe Moretz, and it looks crazy, off the walls. I mean, the first one was a ton of fun, super weird. I thought Zac Efron was great in it, so having him come back, I'm very much excited for. And I mean, Seth Rogen's always funny.
Yeah, it looks like they're taking what the comedy element that what was Neighbors, and they're putting the accelerator to full throttle and taking it to the extreme. And that first trailer was absolutely hilarious. So if that movie is filled with all of those antidotes, it's going to be good.
Yeah. I mean, there's always a little bit of reservations for comedy sequels because normally a lot of comedy sequels aren't as good as their predecessors.
Yeah.
But this one, I mean, I thought the first one was funny, but I think it was like one of the best comedies I've ever seen.
Right.
So it has the possibility to exceed the first one, which is great. The next one, I know we are both very much excited for. When this hits, next Sunday, Super Bowl Sunday, during Super Bowl 50, during all those advertisements and commercials everybody's going to love and laugh about, there's going to be a ton of movie trailers like Deadpool. We'll have some. The X-Men Apocalypse will have some, but the big one that we're excited for is Bourne 5. First trailer dropping next Sunday.
That is what's up. This is my number one most anticipated movie of 2016, and we are getting the trailer in 1 week, everybody. It's supposedly set 12 years after the Bourne Ultimatum, and we're getting Matt Damon reprising his role. It's going to be great, even if it sucks.
It will not suck.
It won't suck.
It's impossible.
But it's going to be great.
Yeah.
Look for it. Love it.
Yeah, with Matt Damon back in the character of Bourne, it's hard to go wrong. I love the first 3 Bourne movies. And then Alicia Vikander's in it, somebody I personally adore. She can do no wrong in my eyes. So bringing her in, I don't know what her role is, but that's a very interesting choice. If she's the villain, especially, that'd be like crazy.
Tommy Lee Jones is on the cast list too.
And then Paul Greengrass is back as the director.
Yes.
So there's just a lot of things to be excited about for this movie. And hopefully it can bring us another good Bourne trilogy. Nothing against Jeremy Renner. I enjoyed your movie. But
totally.
Hopefully there's a crossover at some point, because that'd be epic.
Yeah, I don't have a sentimental attachment to him as Aaron. I don't even know the guy's name anymore.
Aaron Cross?
Aaron
right?
Cross, yeah. So, but my most anticipated of 2016.
Finally getting a trailer.
Yes.
It's crazy.
But what about 2015, Cooper?
It's a good question. Because there was a lot of movies that came out. Saw a bunch of them. And we're going to rank them now, give you our top 10 favorite movies of the year, of last year. But before we get into our top 10, we're going to do some honorable mentions. And then I'll do my 10 through 6. Then you'll do yours.
Okay.
And then 5 through 2. And then we'll both end with our number 1. I wonder if we'll have the same one. I kind of have a feeling we will.
I'm betting too.
And then after that, we're going to do a couple fun segments where we're going to do a Gone But Not Forgotten. We're going to talk about a movie that we didn't see, but we really want to see, and we probably will see at some point. And then we're going to do some regretful purchases, movies we went and spent money on that we probably shouldn't have.
Yeah.
And those are both courtesy of the great co-host Josh Straley. So
thank you.
If you guys like those, be sure to give him a follow on Twitter and stuff.
Yes. Do that,
So,
everyone.
Honorable mentions for me. This one just missed the list. Dope. It's this really fun comedy drug movie where the kid accidentally gets a whole backpack full of drugs and he has to try to get rid of them. It's really funny and it's just a great adventure. And the kid, I can't remember his name right now, but he is really good as the lead. Hopefully he's in a lot more things. Me and Earl and the Dying Girl is also another honorable mention. Really, really, these are total opposite movies, these three. This one is super sad, but Olivia Cook, I believe, is the main girl in it. And she gives a great performance. The three main kids are all great in it. And it is so sad. It's a great story about friendship and just being there for each other no matter what. But don't watch it if you want to be happy, that's for sure, because it definitely pulls at the heart.
Oh.
And then the final one is a movie that I'm not normally a fan of. Like, I'm a fan of thrillers, but this would be more along the lines of probably like a scary, jumpy movie, but it's more, I guess it's a thriller, what it would be labeled as. The Gift, starring Jason Bateman and
oh yeah.
Oh my gosh, I can't remember his name. Huge fan, Joel Edgerton.
Yeah.
He directed and wrote the script first time, and this movie blew me away. It was so good. I loved every second of it. It's really just them. It's really Bateman and Edgerton going back and forth because Edgerton's kind of basically stalking Bateman and his wife. And it's super creepy, and it's just so good. I thought Edgerton should be like a supporting nom for an Oscar, but I mean that list is stacked, so it's kind of hard to pick and choose. What about you? Some honorable mentions.
All right, honorable mention number one that missed the list was Pitch Perfect 2. I am a sucker for acapella, and any and all forms. The first one, Pitch Perfect 2, kicked that off for me, and then immediately I found Pentatonic on Spotify, and
they're so good.
They are on repeat constantly throughout my workday. So, and Pitch Perfect 2 continued that, added
plus Pentatonics is in there.
Yes, it added some fun new elements with the Green Bay Packers cameo. Like,
man.
I don't know why to this day I think that's the funniest thing ever.
That is so good.
Exactly, like Clay Thompson.
Yeah.
Okay, and then I only have two here. So then my second one was Inside Out. Because I love me some Pixar. I love me some Amy Poehler, some Lewis Black, some Mindy Kaling, some Phyllis Smith.
She is, like, so good. Like, she is so good in that role because it's exactly Phyllis from The Office as an emotion.
Yes, absolutely. So, yeah, those are my two honorable mentions for Inside Out. It was So, Cooper, what about your 10 through 6?
My 10 through 6. So, kicking it off, my 10th favorite movie of the year was one that I was kind of surprised. It had a great cast, but I wasn't expecting it to be like a top 10 movie. It was The Big Short. Adam McKay, normally a very comedic director, steps away from Anchorman and brings a very drama heavy movie about the financial crisis that happened in the United States a couple of years ago. And I mean, with a cast like Christian Bale, Steve Carell, Ryan Gosling, and Brad Pitt, I mean, you can't really go wrong with that. I thought Steve Carell was I thought he was like the lead of the movie, really. Mm-hmm. So I'm a huge fan of Steve Carell just from The Office and stuff, so seeing him in that role was really fun and interesting. Then number 9, I got Spotlight, which is very dark and twisted is not the right word, but that's what I'm going to use for it.
Upsetting?
Yeah, upsetting is probably better.
Okay.
That cast once again is outstanding, but it's very tough to watch at certain points. 8, I have Sicario.
Mm-hmm.
Emily Blunt was amazing in the lead. Benicio del Toro, once again, should have gotten nominated for Best Supporting nom for the Oscars. And then, what's his name? Alejandro Villanueva, or not? No, sorry, wrong guy.
Yeah.
Dennis Villanueva.
There you go.
He's quickly becoming a very great, one of my favorite directors. Currently making movies. 7, I have Kingsman: Secret Service. Talked about the sequel a little earlier, but yeah, this movie blew me away. The church scene, where it's just like an all-out brawl, is amazing. Probably one of my favorite sequences of the year. And the cast, Taron Egerton's great. Samuel Jackson's great. Who is the lead agent? Colin Firth is great in it. So that's just an outstanding movie, and it's like a comic book ripoff that just became so good.
Mm-hmm.
And the exploding head stuff was great. And then 6 for me is Mad Max Fury Road. George Miller getting back into the Mad Max world. Tom Hardy, Charlize Theron killed it as Furiosa. Hopefully we get a solo movie for her in the near future. And it's just action-packed road trip. It's like after I saw the movie, I'm pretty sure I tweeted it was the best Fast and Furious movie I ever saw. Because it's just cars going through the desert. The story's not great because they go somewhere and they go right back.
Yeah.
But it's beautifully shot, and it is just such a fun experience to watch. What about you, 10 through 6?
All right. At number 10, I have Ex Machina with Donald Gleason and Oscar Isaac as the two main male leads, and you have to help me with the female lead because I constantly forget her name.
Alicia Vikander.
Thank you. They did a phenomenal performance on taking a really worn-out concept of artificial intelligence and robots overpowering their owners, and did a really good fresh modern take on it, kind of highlighting our oversharingness as people, kind of asking the question, what does it mean to be human? And, the artificial intelligence is in the news all the time. People thinking that it's going to rule the world someday. So that was a really good timed movie that really made me fans of Donald Gleason and Oscar Isaac immensely. So number 9, I've got Straight Outta Compton.
Okay.
I had fun at that movie. And fun fact, I did not know Ice Cube was a rapper until they started marketing for that movie. I just thought he was a great actor who killed it in 21 and 22 Jump Street. So I was embarrassed when I told that to my friends when we got up to the theater that night.
And now you're on the internet, so
yeah.
There's no turning back.
I know. So number 8, which I didn't tell you this before we started, but Mad Max Fury Road. I've seen it finally.
Great.
So I am up to date with the rest of the known universe. I had to contain in a huge laugh when you said it was the best Fast and Furious movie ever. It's Fast and Furious if you just push it to the apocalypse.
Exactly.
And George Miller's cinematography in the desert and just watching the battles, like watching a road battle to that scale is just unbelievable.
Yeah.
And I finally understand why everyone says that it is one of the greatest action movies that we probably saw this year. So number 7, which is The Revenant.
Okay.
And I want to challenge you with the best sequence, the opening sequence of The Revenant, where the Indians are coming at the fur trappers, has got to rival the Kingsman scene.
It does, that's for sure.
I won't argue to push it over the top, but I gotta say it's gotta be number 2 on your list if it's not number 1.
It would, in terms of filmmaking quality, it's definitely 1.
Yeah.
Entertainment wise, I think I'd put Kingsman. I think
Totally.
The church battle in Kingsman is more entertaining to watch.
Yeah, it's hard to watch the first scene in The Revenant.
In terms of just like watching it visually and being like, oh my gosh, this is all one shot. Basically, it's definitely The Revenant.
Yeah, and it's part brutal too.
Yeah,
so
it is.
I'll give you that. And then at number 6, I've got The Hateful Eight because I have not. That was another movie that I just had a ton of fun at, and that it was unexpected for me because it was my first Quentin Tarantino film. And I came away being a really big fan of his.
Yeah, so then we're gonna do top fives now. I know we're getting long on the episode, but uh, you know, after taking a week off, it's kind of needed.
Let's be honest, you guys missed us.
Yeah, I hope. I mean, if you're listening, I would think you missed us a little bit at least. You might not admit it publicly, but thank you for tuning in once again.
Absolutely. All right. So
if you've lasted this long, that is.
Yeah. So let's hear it.
Okay, it's top five. Creed, number 5 for me.
Okay.
Absolutely loved it. It was that would probably have maybe my third best sequence of the year. This is all off the top of my head, so it's impossible to really quantify all the sequences I saw. But the single take fight, the second fight he has, is so good. Ryan Coogler was great as the director, and Sylvester Stallone was obviously great, bringing back the Rocky character. He got a Golden Globe and he got nominated for an Oscar for it. And then Michael B. Jordan, obviously, he killed it as the lead, as Adonis Creed. Number 4, I have Avengers: Age of Ultron, which I think most years a Marvel movie would normally top my list. Definitely be top 2 or 3. But this one, it was good, but it wasn't as good as the first one, even though it brought in a bunch of new characters. I still very much enjoyed it. But I don't know if I wanted more. I think the ending of the first Avengers is just so great and perfect, and the ending of Age of Ultron just felt kind of crowded and safe, I guess.
I would, or I would almost say fragmented though too, because you're unsure. It's not a happy ending like the first one, and it's not exactly all loose ends are tied up this time because they know they have to leave room for all these other films.
Yeah, it did a lot of setup, which, I mean, I enjoyed at parts because, like, oh, this is hinting at Civil War, this is hinting at Thor Ragnarok or another thing, but at the same time, it's like, okay, I wish you would focus all of your attention on just this movie and Ultron. So that was a little disappointing. Number 3, The Martian. Movie, I mean, I cannot say good enough things about this movie. Matt Damon blew me away in the lead role. Ridley Scott did a great job directing it. And, I mean, I saw this and Sicario back to back. I saw Sicario first and then The Martian. And they're so different movies. And The Martian is such a pleasure to watch and it's such a fun environment to be in. It's 2 hours and 24 minutes long. And I felt like it was less than 2 hours because I was just so engulfed in that universe and being on Mars. I felt like I was there. And I mean, just using like the vlogging system to explain a lot of stuff that normally could be kind of boring. I thought that was a great way to do it. And then number 2 is Inside Out.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's just because it's not just because it's Pixar. That definitely plays a factor in it. But I thought this movie was not only to have a great cast, the message was so original, or not the message. The concept was so original.
Yeah.
The message was great. Just always trying to be yourself, and like it just made me wonder, what are my core memories? Like I need to know. Every time I see something about core memories, I'm like, what are mine? I need my emotions inside me.
Yeah.
I need my Amy Poehler to tell me
I gotcha.
what my core memories are.
Sure.
And like what your islands are and stuff. Like I need to know all that stuff. And it was just like so interesting to watch and like think about like the mind and then how it can be easily manipulated as a young child. And then even how it evolves for when it showed like the mom and the dad's perspectives. And like how the dad, they all looked like the angry guy.
Yeah.
And then the mom, like they still had, I think they were still varying ones, but there was a lot of the sad emotion that the main child had. Yeah. They all looked a lot like that. So it's like, it has some weird parallels. It's like the father's angry, the mom's sad, and the kid's like trying to figure it all out. So, I mean, I just thought it was really deep, and it's something I didn't really think about at first, but then, watching it again and like reading other things about it, it's just like that movie is just like so good, and like a lot of Pixar movies. It's perfect. There's nothing I could change about that movie to make it better.
No, and Pixar is the best at taking original concepts and stories. Like it's in the water there. It has to be. Since John Lasseter and his team did Toy Story to where we are now, I have to agree with you 100% that.
What about you?
Film's originality was awesome. About me, okay, well, number 5, we had our first one that we had the same. Creed. I had Creed on there. I loved it for all of the reasons that you said. I never was a huge fan of the Rocky movies. I knew that they were supposed to be, the inspirational 80s boxing movies, but this was the first time that one of those movies hit home for me. Loved it. Number 4, The Big Short. Like you said, Adam McKay stepping out of his role and doing an entertaining and infuriating movie about finance, and we're telling you those concepts, showing you these concepts in a really easy way to understand, with an all-star cast. I loved every ounce of that. Number 3, you didn't even have this on your list, so I'm pretty shocked. Jurassic World.
Oh wow.
Yes, I love Jurassic Park. I love those first 3. I was a fan of the book too, and Chris Pratt, who is becoming one of my favorite actors and people of all time, was a part of a movie that gave reverence to the classic and then showed me so many possible ways this new franchise, this reinvigorated franchise, could go. I loved it. And then number 2, The Martian. I'm a fanboy of Matt Damon. I think you guys are probably starting to get that figured out. Along with Kate Mara, Jessica Chastain, Donald Glover, Sean Bean, a movie where he doesn't die.
Yeah, shocking.
That's rare to find.
Yeah.
And just another great cast, along with an amazing story about something that's in the news a lot. I mean, we might be going to Mars soon. Elon Musk is going to take us there. Who knows? But yeah, The Martian, my second favorite movie of the year. So, drum roll, Cooper.
I think we could say number 1 at the same time.
All right, so 3,
1,
2, 1. Star Wars.
Yeah.
Bam.
It's no surprise. I mean, it might. If I had to go like technically, best movie, like in terms of filmmaking quality and everything, it might not be the best movie of the year.
Yeah.
But it was by far my favorite. Just
Definitely.
because sitting there, I mean, even the lead up to it, I'd never been so excited, probably except for like the Avengers, to go see a movie in theaters. It was a phenomenon, really. I mean, I was somebody that did not grow up on the Star. I mean, I grew up with them by watching them, but I wasn't like. The Star Wars wouldn't be a core memory for me.
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't have a Star Wars island.
Sure.
But after this, I probably would. Like, this sold me on that franchise in every way possible.
Mm-hmm.
I'm bought in 100%. I'm committed. I'm ready for Star Wars to never end. Thank you, Bob Iger and Disney, for buying them. I can't believe you only bought them for $4 million, because that is an absolute steal. Or $4 billion. $4 billion, sorry. $4 million. $4 million, holy cow.
$4 million, that's definitely the steal of the year.
George Lucas would have been crazy
Yes.
if that was the deal. What about you? I mean,
yeah, for everything, well, for mostly all the reasons you said, but it's a childhood love of mine. And when I got to that theater, after all the hype, after all the build-up, I sat down and I lost myself in Star Wars again. I wasn't appreciating the original trilogy. I wasn't criticizing the prequel trilogy. I was enjoying the moment, and I loved every second of it. It meted my expectations from even being a nerd in the expanded universe book series. And I mean, there's a whole podcast that I encourage you guys to listen to. Our first episode, go back and listen to it, and you can hear me spiel for a good 30 minutes on why I loved it so much. But yeah, it brought back my childhood in an amazing way. The cast, the crew, J.J. Abrams, Kathleen Kennedy created a project that excited a whole new generation about Star Wars. So for that, I am immensely thankful.
Yeah, I mean, you touched on it about expectations. I mean, it lived up to what seemed like unreachable expectations for pretty much everybody.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of people, I mean, I always expected it to be great, but I didn't expect to absolutely love the movie. And I did, and it's number one on my list for a reason. And it's my favorite Star Wars movie for a reason.
Totally.
It's so good. I mean, there's obviously comparisons to previous ones and homages, but I mean that had to be done. If you didn't do that, people would be angry, and they did do it. Now some people are angry. So I don't care. I hope JJ can come back at some point and do another Star Wars movie. Maybe it's episode 10, and they just repeat directors.
Yeah,
that'd be cool. Or maybe he does an anthology movie, and he does an Obi-Wan anthology movie, which I'm very much hopeful for.
We want an Obi-Wan anthology movie.
Bring back Ewan McGregor.
Absolutely.
Please, Lucasfilm and Disney, if you're listening, for some weird reason, if you've stumbled upon this podcast, bring back Ewan McGregor. He wants it. We want it. Just make it happen. Ewan McGregor is gone but not forgotten for the Star Wars franchise. But there were movies this year that we did not get to see that we wanted to, and we're going to bring our Gone but Not Forgotten segment in. So what was a movie for you that you really wanted to see, but you didn't get around to, but you're going to see at some point, and maybe it could have made your top 10 list?
I don't know if it would ever make my top 10 list, but Chappie.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was. It was when artificial intelligence, like, that's why I had Ex Machina on there, but artificial intelligence was like popping up all over the place, and Chappie's coming out, and I'm like, oh, I need to see that. Hugh Jackman's in it too. That looks great, and it's got like a post-apocalyptic world, or a dystopian worldview, and I like that stuff. And I went to the theater on 4 separate occasions to see Chappie, and saw every other movie but that. And Chappie, I know you're out there on DVD for probably $5 in some bin.
Not 5.
10.
More.
15.
At least.
50.
15 at least.
And someday I will pick you up and I will take you home and watch you.
It's not on Redbox? I just go to Redbox and get it.
And maybe on Netflix too.
It's not on Netflix, that's for sure.
Okay.
It's too new. Chappie's a good one. Like the Chappie robot is probably the best character in the movie. It does some very interesting things, and the cast is very weird.
Sure.
So it was a movie I liked, but I didn't love.
Okay.
I kind of, the more I thought about it, kind of less I liked.
Yeah.
And I don't like those movies because
right.
I need movies to make sense first time I saw them.
Definitely.
But for me, mine was Straight Outta Compton, which was on your top 10. I never got around to see it, and I wanted to, but I don't know. I can't remember when it came out, but it was probably late August. Mm-hmm. So that's normally a pretty dead month in movies. So I just didn't go to the theater a lot that month, probably. So just kind of missed out on that one. But it came out on DVD this week. So when you guys listen to this, it'll be a week from when it came out on DVD. And I was hoping it'd be on Redbox, but it's not going to be on Redbox for a couple more weeks. So when it gets there, I'm going to watch it. But that was the one for me that I really wanted to see, because I've heard a lot of great things about it, and I always love movies with a lot of music in it. So I think it's a perfect fit for me.
There's the reason why there's so much anger out there, because it didn't get any really good Oscar noms, and I have to agree with that. But as I passed over Chappie countless times, Cooper, I saw the movie Unfriended, and I want my money back. I want that day back. I just want a do-over, because I thought it was a cool, unique horror movie that's set on a Skype conference call, and then suddenly a dead friend that they'd made fun of comes back and starts to haunt them because they cyberbullied her. And that's great. That's a good lesson, to teach kids. But then my experience in the theater was all 12-year-olds and 13-year-olds Snapchatting and using Flash in the theater.
It's always fun.
That is, yes, it was so obnoxious. And then the bailiff, I don't know, one of the security or staff members threw out a bunch of them because they're underage. And
what was it rated?
It's rated, I think it was rated R.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So that happened. And then a whole time I was just watching everything play out on the screen. And I was like, this is just awful. Tell kids cyberbullying is bad in another way. And, yeah, I could go on forever, but in respect for their attempts at that film, I'm not going to say anymore.
Right.
What about you? The movie you regret spending money on?
I'm double checking one of them okay.
Sure.
Because it had IMDb listed as a 2014 release date, but it did in fact come out in 2015.
All right.
And it came out basically a year ago today. Earlier this month.
Okay.
A year ago. Taken 3.
Oh, yes.
One of the worst movies. I saw 49 movies that came out in 2015. That was 48th. That was a movie I had no interest in seeing, but you drugged me to the theater to watch it.
Let's just be honest with the folks at home or on the road.
Backstory?
I didn't drag you to see it because
me.
That wasn't my level of confidence in Liam Neeson in Taken 3. I bet you something. Dinner, popcorn.
Popcorn, I think.
Oh, no, I bought your ticket, didn't I? No, maybe.
I think it was food after. We went to Burger King or something.
Yes. I was extremely confident that this would
that I would enjoy it. That was the bet.
Yeah, that you not
and that it wouldn't be a terrible movie.
Redeemable, that you would enjoy it. Oh, and I've never been so wrong.
And you gave up, 20 minutes into the movie? You shook my hand and said that I won?
Yes. As soon as as soon as I saw they recasted 3 people, I was like, I'm going to stop now because I know this can't go anywhere good.
Yeah, that's so bad. I had no intention in seeing it because I just thought the trailers looked so stupid, and the premise of them killing. Did they kill his wife? I don't even remember. They did.
They do.
And yeah, it's just so bad. They're making the daughter basically be the one to save the day. The whole movie was so dumb.
It was.
I mean, I'm mixing up with Taken 2. I don't remember.
No, you're not.
They kind of jumbled together.
Yeah, well, yeah. Taken 2 is where she kind of helps out a bit.
Yeah, because that's when they're trapped in the cellar. 3
is where the scene where Liam Neeson gets up to the penthouse and storms through there and has a gunfight with a guy who's in his underwear.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
Holding 2 AK-47s, and as it's Liam Neeson laces him full of bullets. He falls, and the bullet holes just look like someone went up and painted red circles on his chest. And it's like, are those bug bites, or is he seriously injured? And
not only that, there are ridiculous stunts, like Fast and Furious level ridiculousness stunts that they don't explain at all. Like him taking his car down an elevator shaft to a parking garage, it exploding and bursting into flames, and then they cut and there's him just walking.
Yeah.
Like how did you make it out of the car? Or when he gets pushed off the side of the road and he, in mid tumble, opens the door and leaps out perfectly unscathed. But then the bad guys are looking down the hill at his car. They can't see him somehow. And they're like, oh, he's dead. We're just going to leave him. But idiots. You always find the body. Come on. That's bad guy 101.
I'm sorry, Cooper.
It's okay. The other one that I will mention that it wasn't nearly as bad as Taken 3 is Fantastic Four. That's probably my most disappointing movie.
Okay.
Of the year, just because I wanted it to be good, and I liked the cast, but then it ended up the last 45 minutes or whatever is just downright terrible, and it screws up everything. And that's one where it is set in the Fox universe, cinematic universe, technically. So they're supposed to have a crossover event in like 3 years. Sequels, it doesn't release date anymore. They took it away from them because it was so bad. So that was a really disappointing movie to watch for sure.
We went from such a great high on Star Wars, and now
we ended on such a low. Taken 3 and Unfriended and Fantastic Four.
Yeah.
Have a great day, folks.
Yeah.
But really, that is the end of our podcast. We did go pretty long. We're about to our first podcast length, about an hour 15 at this point.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully you don't mind these longer podcasts. It's going to happen when we take a week off here and there, just because there is news we want to talk about. We want to make sure we cover stuff. We even cut a bunch of stuff that we had interest in, but there's not enough time to talk about it. So next week we may be back. Hopefully we'll be back. Hail Caesar comes out next week. I'm interested in seeing that. Hopefully we can both see that and do a review of that and have it out to you on the 9th of February, hopefully. And then that following week we'll have a Deadpool review for you.
Mm-hmm.
And then maybe after that we'll do Zoolander 2.
Sure.
Because Deadpool and Zoolander come out the same week, and I don't want to do a combined review because that'd be too hard, and that'd be a very long podcast, and I would be rambling like I am right now. So I'm going to stop.
Yeah, Deadpool needs our attention.
Yes.
So.
Yes.
Thanks for showing up, everybody.
Yeah. Be sure to tell us your thoughts on everything we covered on the news, new release dates. Give us your top 10 lists. If you have them, you can tweet it to us at Friends and Film on Twitter. You'll get updates on the podcast, like if we won't be able to record for a week, or when our podcasts are released. You'll also find movie news from us, maybe some fun interactive polls, some upcoming releases, stuff like that. Just everything you need for your movie knowledge. We'll be putting that out there for you guys. And you can follow me on Twitter at Coops_hoops.
And you can get me, Josh, at Straley Strong.
And if you're listening to this on YouTube, SoundCloud, or iTunes, please subscribe, like, share, whatever else is possible on social media nowadays. Yeah, email it to us. Send it in a postcard with the URL written down to your grandma. Any film buff you know, or maybe you don't know, just help us gain a following. Hopefully, if you like this, you're still listening. Just help share the podcast. Give us reviews on iTunes, 5 stars. If you don't think we deserve 5-star, hopefully you think we do. But just give us whatever review you think is fitting. Any criticisms of the podcast, improvements, other segments you want to see us add. If you have any questions you want to hear on the next podcast, feel free to tweet it to us, and maybe we'll answer your question next time we record. But until then, thanks for tuning in to the Friends of Film podcast. Josh?
Take care, everybody.
Yeah. Make sure to watch some movies before we return next week with a review of Hail Caesar.